This is the Evolution Fury 5S. This is a table saw that has a 10-inch blade or 255mm. This machine can cut wood, metal or plastic all with the one blade. I have to say that this is the entry level machine. This machine is aimed at DIYers and beginners. This is an ideal machine to start with because it is very light. You can quite easily pick it up and move it around the workshop very easily. Obviously, before you use a machine like this, it is important to wear some safety glasses and some earring protection. This is the front of the machine. We have a stop button which is quite cleverly designed. You have to lift it up to press the start button, but to stop it you simply press it and that will stop the machine. So that is quite a clever design and it is very easy to switch off. Raising or lowering the blade is done by turning this wheel. Turn it anti-clockwise, it will lower the blade. Turn it clockwise, it will raise the blade. If you want to turn the blade onto an angle, you simply undo this nut and then push in the wheel, and then you can then turn that until you get the blade to the desired angle, and then you can lock the nut. That will then hold the blade in that position. To put it back, simply undo the nut, push in the wheel, turn it back, and then lock off the nut again. The machine comes with a rip fence that can be slid to the appropriate position. You can simply slide the fence to the correct position, or you can use the built-in gauge. Once you get it to where you want it, you can simply lock down that lever. The machine also comes with a push stick, which is very useful because that will keep your fingers well away from the blade. Table saws can often create a lot of dust, but because this has a vacuum attachment on the top there, as well as underneath, it does tend to remove the majority of the wood dust when you are cutting. A sliding mitre guide like that is supplied with the machine. That simply fits in the slots on the table there. You can then use that for doing cross cuts, or you can also use that for doing angle cuts. This part is actually for holding down thin material that you're cutting. You may not need that, so you can quite easily remove that when you're not using it. A machine like this can be used for rip cutting, or it can also be used for cross cutting, especially if you use the guide. The guide can also be moved from one side of the blade to the other, should you wish to do so. So this really is a good machine. To say it is an entry level machine, but the actual guard can be a little bit tricky. If you have it too low, the material that you're cutting can get jammed on it, and also at the back it does tend to catch the material and jam the material if you don't set the blade high enough. I'll just give you an example of why it jams. If I was to cut this piece of decking board, which is about 1 inch thick, I would set the blade to just higher than the actual material. But when you're pushing that through, as you can see, it catches on the guard. So that means that you do have to lift the actual blade higher than what you would do normally, so that the material can pass underneath the guide. That's not really a major issue, but I just thought I'd point it out to you. You do have to lift the blade a little bit higher when you're cutting thin material like this, or it does get jammed under the back there. I'll now give you a demonstration of this machine cross-cutting some pieces of decking. As you can see, it's cut them 4 pieces perfectly. They are all exactly the same size. I'm now going to do a rip cut in some 3x2 timber. You can see that this machine easily copes with that and gives you a very good finish. I'm now going to cut this piece of 10mm thick acrylic. So I'm just going to lower the blade down slightly, just so that the acrylic can pass underneath the guide. You can see that that has given us a very clean cut, and there was a minimum of swarf coming off there. The majority of it has gone in the vacuum cleaner. I've now lowered the blade, and I'm now going to cut this piece of 6mm thick aluminium checker plate. And I have to say that it actually cut that for fun. It's absolutely cold to the touch, and it cut through that like it was cutting through a piece of butter. This machine can cut mild steel up to a maximum thickness of 3mm. Unfortunately, I don't have any 3mm thick steel, but I do have this 5mm thick steel plate. So I'm just going to cut through this. Obviously, I'll take it very slowly and see what kind of a job it does at cutting this. So that is 5mm thick mild steel plate. It's actually cold to the touch, and that has given us a very clean cut. If you need to make an angled cut, you can do that very easily using the mitre guide. Just going to put that on the 45-degree mark, lock that up. That enables you to cut material at an angle like so. For an entry-level machine, this table saw is absolutely superb. As I've just demonstrated, it will cut through steel, aluminium, plastic and wood very easily with the same blade.